Did you know that the saber-toothed tiger's canines were 7 inches long? That's enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Buckle up as we dive into the eerie world of the past, where monstrous creatures ruled the land, seas, and skies. From North America's towering bears to Africa's nightmarish giant frogs, these ancient beasts were the true titans of terror. Join us as we journey back in time to face the most terrifying prehistoric animals to ever roam the earth. South America. This continent was once ruled by some of the most fearsome creatures you could imagine. The terror birds, the forest rossids. These birds weren't just tall, they were towering, some reaching up to 10 feet. With beaks that could reach 18 inches long, these predators were no joke. Their diet wasn't limited to just small critters. They could crush bones with ease. Imagine these gigantic birds dominating the landscape, chasing down prey with their long, powerful legs. They were the apex predators of their time, thriving in a variety of habitats from open plains to dense forests. Their keen eyesight and excellent hearing made them expert hunters, maintaining balance in the ecosystem by controlling populations of smaller animals. While South America had its terror birds, North America hosted a giant of its own, the giant short-faced bear, known scientifically as Arctodus simus. This bear was an absolute unit, standing over 14 feet tall on its hind legs. Imagine a bear with legs longer and more muscular than any modern bear, built for speed. Paleontologists believe this bear could run up to 40 miles per hour, making it the fastest bear ever to roam the earth. Its large nasal cavities suggest it had an exceptional sense of smell, perfect for sniffing out carcasses from afar. Not just a scavenger, its speed and sheer size made it a formidable competitor, likely using its abilities to chase down prey and dominate other predators at mealtime. This bear's closest living relative is the much smaller spectacled bear, the only bear species native to South America today. Now, let's talk about the saber-toothed tiger, or Smilodon fatalis. This iconic animal from the Ice Age is famous for its massive 7-inch long upper canines and a jaw that could open a jaw-dropping 130 degrees. Found in places like La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles, these fierce predators were quite different from any cats we see today. Unlike modern tigers or lions, saber-toothed cats weren't actually related to any living felines. They were a foot shorter than today's adult lions, but almost twice as heavy, weighing over 600 pounds in some cases. With relatively short legs and a bobbed tail, these creatures were built for powerful ambush attacks, not for chasing prey over long distances. But the saber-toothed tiger wasn't the only formidable feline of its time. Enter the scimitar cat, Homotherium serum. This cat, with its shorter 4-inch canines, roamed across North America. Its build was more similar to a modern African lion, with long front legs that were perfect for pulling down large prey. An adult scimitar cat had the strength to take down a young mammoth and drag it back to its lair. Africa. What could be more terrifying than a wild African safari? If you think nothing could top that, you're in for a surprise. Imagine a safari a few thousand to millions of years ago. It would have been heart-stopping, literally. Africa's known for its deadly animals, from 5,000-pound rhinos and massive lions to Nile crocodiles that claim over 3,000 lives a year. Not exactly a chill spot, right? And don't forget about the smaller but deadly creatures like the tsetse fly, which causes sleeping sickness, or the infamous mosquito, a major disease carrier. The final nail in the coffin? The black mamba, whose single bite packs enough venom to kill 12 grown men within an hour. Now, if you think modern-day Africa is intense, just imagine what it was like when dinosaurs roamed freely. Brace yourself, because this might make you rethink your feelings about frogs, especially if you've never heard of the devil frog Beelzebufo. This monstrous amphibian lived in ancient Madagascar during the late Cretaceous period, around 66 to 70 million years ago. Think of a frog, but on steroids. Beelzebufo could reach lengths of up to 16 inches and weighed about 10 pounds. But its most striking feature was a massive head with a cranial shield, likely for protection and possibly as a display feature. This frog's skull had a wrinkled outer surface, suggesting bony scales or scutes, making it even more intimidating. With a powerful bite force estimated between 500 to 2200 newtons, Beelzebufo was well equipped to take on large prey, including lizards, small vertebrates, and yes, even hatching dinosaurs. But let's not stop there. Imagine a hyena, but not just any hyena. Pachycrocutta, also known as the giant hyena or short-faced hyena, was a formidable predator that roamed Africa and Eurasia about 1.5 million years ago. This creature was much larger than the modern hyena, standing about 41 inches at the shoulder and measuring around 5.5 feet in length, weighing around 286 pounds. Pachycrocutta had powerful jaws and sharp teeth capable of crushing bones, preying on animals like antelopes, zebras, and even early humans. Unlike today's hyenas, Pachycrocutta wasn't built for long chases. It relied on its strength and bite force to overpower prey. Imagine this giant lurking and ready to pounce. There wouldn't have been much chance of escaping its first bite, but knowing about its inability to chase prey over long distances might give you a slight edge in surviving an encounter, if you were to ever face one in the wild. Let's meet a unique character called Paranthropus boise, also known as the Nutcracker Man. This ancient human cousin lived in East Africa over 1.2 million years ago. Why the nickname? Well, it had super strong jaws and big flat teeth that were perfect for cracking nuts, seeds, and roots. Imagine needing a jaw so strong just to have lunch. Paranthropus boise wasn't very tall, standing about 4.5 feet, but it was built tough, kind of like a modern gorilla. It had a small brain, but made up for it with muscle. Its head had a special crest for attaching big chewing muscles, making it one of the strongest biters of its time. This wasn't just good for eating tough food, but also made it look pretty intimidating to any predators thinking about making it their snack. Australia. Australia has always been a land of extremes, especially when it comes to wildlife. While today you might worry about snakes and spiders, the Australia of 50,000 years ago was a whole different level of wild. Imagine stepping back into a time when the continent was a real-life dinosaur park. Let's travel back in time to meet one of Australia's gigantic ancient residents, the Procoptodon, often referred to as the giant kangaroo. Imagine a kangaroo, but way bigger, standing 6.5 feet tall and able to reach up to 10 feet high to snag foliage that other herbivores couldn't even dream of touching. Back then, Australia was a bit cooler than today, creating a perfect environment for these giants to roam more widely than any other megafauna on the continent. They were the most common of all kangaroo species found during that era. Procoptodon wasn't just big. It was clever with its eating habits, too. It had 2 enlarged fingers on each hand, tipped with curved claws, perfect for grabbing tall branches and pulling them down to munch on. Its front-facing eyes gave it excellent depth perception, a tail that likely helped it navigate and forage in its wooded environment, and unlike today's kangaroos, which have longer snouts, this prehistoric version had a shorter one, better suited for chomping through tough vegetation and branches typically found in drier areas. Despite their size, these giant kangaroos weren't without threats. Australia's top predators at the time kept them on their toes, or should I say their tails. Like their modern-day relatives, Procoptodon hopped around, which gave them a burst of speed when needed. And if things got real dicey, they could stand on their tails to kick or punch their opponent, a tactic they used against rivals during mating season, but also against any predator that got too close. So why did the giant kangaroo, the Procoptodon, disappear? It's kind of a puzzle. Some scientists think they went extinct when humans first showed up, while others say it was around 20,000 years ago. Sure, Hunting was part of the story, but there's more to it. Many experts think that fire stick farming had a lot to do with their disappearance. This is where large areas of forest were burned on purpose to help new, easier-to-eat plants grow. This would have wiped out a lot of the plants that procoptodons needed to survive. Over time, as their food sources became scarcer, these giant kangaroos just couldn't hang on and eventually vanished from Australia. Another standout ancient creature was Varanus priscus, commonly known as Megalania. This giant monitor lizard, closely related to the Komodo dragon, could stretch up to 23 feet long. Think about that. The first humans in Australia likely had to dodge these enormous lizards as they went on about their daily lives. Meeting a lizard as long as a small bus would definitely keep you on your toes. Megalania was at the top of the food chain, using its powerful build and sharp claws to dominate its territory. It had a massive appetite, eating everything from large mammals to other reptiles, and maybe even a curious human if they weren't careful. Its jaws weren't just big. They were strong enough to crush bones, and it might have even had venomous saliva to make its bites even deadlier. But there's more to prehistoric Australia's terror than just giant lizards. Meet the marsupial lion, or Thylacoleo. It wasn't as big as the lions we know today, but it was just as fierce. This marsupial was a master of ambush, known as the drop bear for its tactic of attacking from above. It had unique teeth that worked like bolt cutters, perfect for slicing through meat and bone. Thylacoleo might have been smaller than some predators, but it was tough. It could deliver a bite as strong as a lion's, despite weighing about half as much. This predator used its strong tail for balance and leverage while hunting. And don't forget about the quincana, the land-dwelling crocodile with long legs and serrated teeth that made it a fast and fearsome hunter. These crocs could reach 20 feet in length and might have been around until just 10,000 years ago. Early humans had to be vigilant not just about the waterways, but also on land, as these crocodiles could be lurking almost anywhere. Antarctica. Let's turn the clock way back on Antarctica, long before it became the icy desert we know today. This place was alive with some of the most gigantic and terrifying creatures you could imagine. Back then, humans wouldn't have lasted a minute. In 1990, scientists made an incredible find in the icy Transantarctic Mountains. They discovered the remains of a huge meat-eating dinosaur, Cryolophosaurus, which means frozen crested lizard. This dino was about 25 feet long and was the largest known early Jurassic carnivore on Earth. It had a unique head crest that might have helped it attract mates, kind of like how the human Elvis Presley used his charm. Another dinosaur, Antarctopelta, lived there too. This plant eater was smaller, about 13 feet long, but it was tough. Found in 1986, it was the first dino discovered in Antarctica and showed us how these creatures managed to live in such extreme cold conditions. It had a heavy-set body with thick armored plates and a skull designed to munch on tough plants. Other than these dinosaurs, another discovery was made. A gigantic soft-shell egg was found a decade ago and only recently identified. It was over 11 inches long. Scientists think it belonged to a mosasaur, a huge marine reptile that was like the T-Rex of the ocean. These beasts topped the food chain in the Cretaceous seas, and finding their eggs and fossils in Antarctica tells us just how wild and lively it once was. After battling the harsh Antarctic weather for years, scientists uncovered the heaviest known elasmosaur, an ancient sea reptile that lived alongside the dinosaurs. This beast could have weighed up to 15 tons and had a long neck and flippers, kind of like a giant sea giraffe with a snake's head. If you enjoyed this journey through the ages and found yourself thrilled by these ancient titans, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more amazing tales from the past. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next adventure.